On this episode of the Casually Human podcast, I have a chat with Jaspal Singh. Jaspal is a founder and director of Sketch Studio. This is a multi-award winning architectural firm that is based in Nairobi. His key strengths and that of his firm lie in the delivery of projects that are creative, practical, have attention to detail, and are executed with excellence. In this conversation, we spoke matters life, death, architecture, and the Sikhi way of life. Quite a profound one, this one. Here's our conversation at the beautiful Sugar Bowl. Enjoy.
Hii tunaingia depend. So just to give you a warning, tunaingia depend. So go with the flow. Feel, think, just ride with us, yeah? Thank you very much and welcome. Jaspal, good to meet you.
Thank you, same here.
Asante sana. Asante sana. Is there a preferred name for you?
Jaspal is fine, yeah.
Good. So Jaspal works?
Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
fine. Yeah.
Good. So there are two things about you that I really appreciate. Because they're, I wouldn't say unfamiliar choices, but they're not typical choices. And we'll get into that, yeah? And the way I'd like to jump into this conversation is sharing a bit about a friend that I grew up with. So I had a friend, maybe I should talk about him in the present, but let me just use past tense. And I grew up together, best of friends. We were always together. Both our parents were teachers, and we all wanted to sort of be the best at this life thing. I wanted to be a priest, a Catholic priest growing up. He, on the other side, wanted to be an architect, which is, you know, your career of choice. Around 18, 19, this is for him, second year of campus, studying to be an architect, who commits suicide. Yeah? And this totally threw everyone off. Not only those who were close to him, but also, you know, people who had sort of were excited for the light that he would eventually become. And yes, I've jumped into the deep end with that particular story, but I'd like us to talk about two things. Architecture, how to become one, how to end up where you are, but also how to make it unique to you as a path. But on the other side, approaching life in the way that you have chosen to, you know, as a Sikh. Because these are both very fascinating paths. So let's talk about the architecture first. Did you always know that this is what you wanted to do?
No. When I was in school, I was pretty good at technical drawing. I was born and I grew up in Nakuru,
Okay.
Kenya. So, you know, a lot of the schools, when you're out of Nairobi, your career guidance people actually are not aware what architecture is about. So when you go to them, they just know it has to do with building, drawing, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the actual reason I chose architecture, which could be surprising to many, was, I would say, defiance.
Okay.
Defiance because in the school I was in, only one other student had been into architecture school in its history.
Yeah.
So when I looked at the list, I was like, okay, what can this thing be that is so difficult? People go for medicine, go for engineering, go for all these other courses. But in this course, one person in the whole history of the school.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I think this is something I can try. It must be very difficult, but I'll give it a shot.
Good.
So I remember when I filled the university forms and I was called by some of the teachers in. I was a very good student in electrical technology. We had it as a unit.
Okay.
And my number one unit choice was not electrical. My number 2 was not electrical. My number 3 was not electrical. So my electrical teacher called me, told me, it's surprising that you don't want to become an electrical engineer because it will just be a walk in the path for you, park for you. And I remember looking at him and telling him, actually, I went through the listing and I found this course that people find very difficult to get into. And I think I want to give it a shot. So he asked me, so why isn't electrical your number 2? Told him, because after what I've read about architecture, the next thing closest to it is civil engineering. So I have decided to do civil engineering as my second. And he said, but he's not even your third. I told him, because as a safety net, I've decided to choose Bachelor of Education. I can become a teacher. Should I fail number 1 and 2? Number 3, nitakuwa mwalimu.
Yeah.
Which is okay, I'll come and I'll teach electrical. I'm fine with it. So, in the school, I was the only guy who chose architecture, and I'm the only one who was selected.
Ah, look at that.
So, in the University of Nairobi, were 2 students from my school, my high school. Myself doing architecture, and one other guy doing BA. And that's it.
That's it.
So, yeah, that's how
That
I came into this.
That is how you ended up there. I love the defiance, especially because there's almost a juxtaposition there. Because on the other side, at least I'd like to imagine, there's a lot of structure and, around architecture. There's form. It's almost a given. These are the choices to make. But then again, this is an assumption from the outside, and we'll get into that just for a bit, slightly later. Now, connecting this to my earlier story about the friend who ended up doing architecture, then took his life, I'd also like to open this path of philosophies to life. Being a Sikh is not that familiar to a lot of us, especially in the Kenyan community. I've just learned that East Africa, this is a thing. This is a chosen path for many. In Asia, of course, and a bit of America. So this is very new to a lot of us. So is this something you're born into, at least for you, or is this a choice that you made later in life?
Before we get there,
Go for it.
what took Peter's life?
Peter and Jogo, we never really dug as deeply, but he chose to take his life, so it must have been something around where his mental space was.
Before I get into the Sikh side of
Things,
maybe I can elaborate what
Go for
happens. So, when people go to architecture school, for most of us, we discover at that point that it's not an art and it's not a science. Architecture is actually a culmination of both. You have to be creative, you have to be practical. You have to be able to understand law, and you have to be able to run a business. So it's actually a culmination of everything. You take all the courses, put them in one pot. That is what architecture is. We do elements of philosophy in first year, we do socioeconomics, we learn how to draw, we learn the history of architecture, we learn about the geography of places, we learn about sociology. So you find it can be very overwhelming for a person who has just left high school and is put into this space. That can be very tough because unlike some courses where 1 + 1 is 2, in architecture 1 + 1 can be a million. You have to justify how you got a million. So the answer is about your journey. And that can be overwhelming for people with a very structured build.
I see.
You see, if you're very structured, like guys who are lawyers, they know this is the law, this is what it says. Now imagine you're in a space where you're told this is the law, but you have a million other paths. You choose which one is suiting you, but you must be able to defend your position. So technically, in many ways, there is no right or wrong because you decide, but you have to convince people.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can be very overwhelming for a young person to be thrown into that space. He sees this and he sees that, totally at opposite ends of the spectrum. And now you're meant to fit in. So it can be a daunting task. You can stay awake the whole night, you've come up with nothing. Another guy stays awake for 10 minutes, he's done what he's meant to do, and he's gone to sleep.
Grand.
So you start questioning yourself at times.
Yeah.
Is something wrong with you? Is it something you never understood? Right? So that's that could lead to somebody crashing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
Your next question was about Sikhism.
Yes.
So, contrary to popular belief, Sikhism is really not a religion, but a way of life.
A way of life.
Yeah, Sikhism is a way of life. You get born into a Sikh family. We believe that when you are born into a Sikh family, it's a privilege because we believe in reincarnation. And we have 8.4 million species that we believe in, which science is currently investigating, and more species are getting revealed. So we believe it is actually true. Now, there is no forced conversion in Sikhism. So you'll rarely, in fact, you'll never find a preacher who is coming to talk to you and asking you, can you become a Sikh and we need people, and no.
Yeah.
We don't believe in that. We believe if you understand, you will choose it yourself. If you read, you will make your decision. So it's not a forced religion on anybody. But the fact that we are born into it, we feel we have a privilege because we believe there's an opportunity to end the cycle of life and death when you're born as a Sikh. Because our fundamental basics are three. You need to meditate on God's name every day, every time if you can. So there's this thing that keeps ringing, that you're meditating on God's name. You're basically being grateful to the Almighty for giving you this life and for letting you be alive all the time, anywhere you are. So it's about gratefulness to the Almighty. Number two, you're supposed to earn an honest living. If you go to, I'll choose India because from our heritage, that's where, our origin is. I don't think you'll find a single Sikh who is a beggar.
Okay.
Yeah. We're about 20 million Sikhs in India, which has 1.2 or 1.4 billion people. But you'll not find any Sikh who's a beggar because we are taught, part of our DNA is to earn an honest living.
I like that.
You're supposed to work, and that's how you earn.
Yeah.
You cannot sit at home and expect to earn. It's not part of our DNA. The third concept is sharing with others. So you'll find, I don't know if you've been to Mombasa, you pass Makindu. Makindu, you drive in, you go in, have a meal. Nobody gives you a bill. You finish your meal and you can leave. There is no obligation. There is no one will ask you to pay anything. It's up to you. If you want, it's okay. If you don't want, it's okay. Because we believe that in life you've got to share with others, which leads us to a very big aspect of life, which is selfless service and equality. It's part and parcel of our lifestyle. We are taught to be selfless, and we are also taught to have equality to all humanity. So you will in our places of worship, anyone is allowed to come. You just follow the rules, cover your head, remove your shoes, make sure you're clean. You're allowed to come in and listen to the prayers.
I love that.
And generally, Makindu is a good example. We embrace everybody.
I love that. I really love that. And in the spirit of where we are in this conversation, one of my most important questions, at least whenever, we are sitting to have a casual conversation, is why do you think we are here? I mean, I love the whole idea around reincarnation and the seeking on the different paths. According to Sikhism, why are we here?
So we believe you have a mission. Every person who's born has a mission. You come with a mission which is preordained, but you've also been given something special that other beings do not have, which is the mind. And the mind allows you to make decisions which are consequential. That's what happens. So most of us have lived through this situation where you want to do something. I want to drink this juice. I know it's not mine, but the devil is telling me, well, you can call it the devil, but not. In Sikhism, we don't really call it the devil.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
Because it's created, if it's the devil, it's created by God. Now the same God you're worshipping is the one who's created the devil. So it becomes a bit of a tight situation because you can justify anything.
Yeah.
That the devil created by God made me do this. So it's not my fault. Take it back to the first principle.
Yeah.
So what we say is there is and there isn't. So good exists, bad exists because of lack of good. Bad as a principle does not exist. It's there because there is good. I do good, so there is good. So what is lack of being good? Bad. Not bad has been created. It is lack of, it's the lack of the other that creates the other one to be. Otherwise, you would not say there is silence if there was no word for noise. How would you explain it? It would be a bit, lack of silence. Now they said, let's invent a word called noise.
Noise.
So that's sort of how the good and the bad comes. So you find this voice telling you, just drink it. It's one sip. This thing looks tasty. That part is always there.
Okay.
With all of us.
Yeah.
The quest of life is to be able to tame this part of your being, to control it. It will always be there. You wake up in the morning, I think I shouldn't get up. I should just take 5 more minutes, lie in a bit more. It happens. That is now the other side telling you, no, just relax, don't worry, everything is okay. Then there's the other part that says, no, you have responsibility, accountability, get up and do it. So that aspect, which is now where your mind comes into play, that is now what starts to determine the consequences of your life. So you are given this program, but you have also been given the mind. Otherwise, life would be very simple. I wake up, I stand and I give you a punch.
Yeah.
And I tell you, what? God had preordained that I should punch you.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. I have a mind. I make a decision. Should you do something that deserves punching, I will punch you. Sure.
Yeah.
But if there isn't a reason, I cannot just get up and do it. So that's what we believe, that your destiny is preordained, but with a factor called the mind.
The mind.
Now, how do you deal with the mind? So people steal, you're taken to court, you're passed judgment, you're locked in. Otherwise, you just sit and say, okay, God decided.
There
I
is
should do
consequence.
this.
Yeah.
There's consequence for your actions.
Yeah.
So coming back to why are we here?
Yeah, purpose.
We are here because we have been given specific duties that we need to fulfill.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why it kind of holds water, that philosophy. How do you explain a child who's born and is stillborn? right? If you say this child has done nothing, this child did nothing, there was no, they have not even, maybe they've not even looked at the parent and the child is gone. How do you explain it? Yeah, how do you explain it? According to our beliefs, this is something you're dealing with from your past life. Probably the parent, something happened and they had to go through this scenario where they lose a child. That pain, only that parent knows. But for the kid came in, that was their duty to pass this message, and then they do it. Because maybe in this life or your past life, you did something that you need to set the record straight.
It's almost penance to something. Is there an ultimate?
The ultimate is oneness with God. So what we believe is, actually we are all God. We are part of God. God is everywhere. We believe there is one God. The God does not sit somewhere. The God is omnipresent. Right? So the God is in you, God is in her, in everybody. So what they teach us is you must see God in everything that you do.
I love that.
Whether it is work, whether it is talking to a person, you need to be able to see God, because we are one.
We are one.
And the laws of physics confirm that action is equal and opposite to reaction. So when I come and do something to you and I think, oh, I'm doing it to Kigondu and he's going to suffer, I don't realize at that point that I'm doing it to myself. Because when I push, when I move my hand like this, whatever I'm displacing is also coming to affect me. That motion, because it's all energy. We are all energy.
We are all energy.
Ultimately, we are all energy.
Yeah.
So anything that I push is also going to come around, whether it's going around the earth or the galaxies, wherever, it comes back and pushes me. And people need to understand that life, that's why they say life is a circle. A circle is infinite. There is no start, there is no end. It just keeps going around like this. So when I do something to you, I might think I'm doing it to you, but I need to understand that I'm doing it to me.
To the self.
That is why even in other scriptures, they'll tell you, do unto others what
You'd like
to be done to you.
I love that. Yeah.
It's actually, the concept is the same. You don't do things to other people that you would not like done to you. But the basis of it, from a physics perspective, is displacement of any energy means that energy is going somewhere else. And that is why we believe you have to be grateful. So grateful in some other terms is called optimism.
This episode of Casually Human podcast with Martin Kigondu is brought to you by Sugar Bowl. Sugar Bowl is a casual, full-service dining restaurant featuring an inviting indoor and outdoor space with a fresh, unpretentious ambience with warm colors, perfect for intimate dinners, business meetings, and social gatherings. Their menu is strongly based off a continental cuisine enhanced with Mediterranean and Italian influences, so go check them out, maze. They are conveniently located at Shell petrol station in Spring Valley, Upper to Lower Kabete. So go check them out, have a good time, and tell them you were sent by Martin Kigondu from the Casually Human podcast. Let's get into it.
So, not to cut you off, yeah? But so far in the conversation, what I hear a lot is choice and consequence, yeah? And even the aspect of technically karma. So is there room for the idea of karma in Sikhism?
Yes. We believe there is karma.
Okay.
Because life would be very, very different if I could do what I feel like and then I say, I'll deal with it later. Remember, karma doesn't mean you living this life and then it's not like an Excel sheet that someone writes and says, okay, you did this, you did this, you did this. At the end of on Judgment Day, it will be read out to you. So what?
Yeah.
Most people say, so what?
Yeah.
If I was a con man, I'll live the life. When I reach the end, I'm called, I'll say, yes, everything you said, sir, I did it. I mean, what would be the big deal? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, no one has been there and has come back to tell us if that's the case. But what we believe is that when you don't do good, you can experience the next second, you can experience the result of what good you did not do. It doesn't have to wait till your life's end. I'll give you an example. You're in the car, you're driving, you know I should not be on the phone. I shouldn't be. You pick the phone, you check WhatsApp. Kigondu has told me tomorrow this story. Immediately I've done that, I've hit the car in front. What do you attribute that to? That's karma.
That is
because you knew you should not actually check your phone, but you did it. And then you paid back. Now, the payback is somehow can be related to your action, but it can also be a culmination of your actions. So you did it, this was the 101st time. Now you've got into a collision, your car is buggered, you got injured, you are now in hospital, blah, blah, blah. Or you get in, it's just a fender bender. Kidogo, 2,000-3,000 bob, I'll sort this issue out. So again, there is some level of fairness because we believe God is fair.
I like that.
Right? He doesn't just say, okay, you've done this and you should, the maximum sentence. Apana. There is some level of fairness that you're given.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bigger picture now, because this is a personal path. When we are looking at interactions of humanity as is, how would you explain, or how would you like to look at life from the point of view of a Sikh, looking at the current state of the world, world politics, local politics? It feels we are in a certain space. Is there a way to explain how we found ourselves here?
Yes. The biggest problem is we have lost humanity.
What do you mean?
When we see people suffering, we don't want to do anything about it because human beings have become, over time, more and more selfish. Everyone is thinking about themselves. I get into a position, how can I fill my pockets? I get into a position of power, how can I make these people understand that I am the guy? Ego, greed, selfishness is, I think, at an all-time high. So what that does, you lose humanity. When you see a person stealing, you're not going to ask him, guy, why are you stealing? What will be the first thing we'll do? We twanga him. Then we deal with the issues later, right? But if you actually, we've had instances where people have stolen offerings. Sure. Guy goes, in the Sikh way of doing things, when we go into the temple, we bow to the scripture, not to the, what people would call a book. We bow to the abstract part, or the content is what we give reverence to. And we put offerings there. So there are some people who come, when they bow, they take the money and put it in the pocket. And it's captured on camera. Big hoo-ha happens, oh, this is the house of God, and da, da, da. God is everywhere. House of God is not that building. God is everywhere. See you?
Yeah.
Okay, so when the person goes there, it can be looked at that it's a bad thing, but you know what? Humanity demands you ask the person why they're doing it. Their kids might not have eaten for a few days, and the only place they thought they could do this was over there. People don't do this kind of things out of, no reason. There's a reason that drives them. It would make sense to sit and ask the person, what happened? Why are you doing this? The story they might tell you might actually make you take everything and give it to this person and say, you know what, I think from all of us, you are the most deserving. No, family, somebody is sick, I have no option, I've tried to beg, nobody is helping, and I've come here, house of God, you should help me. So I did it.
Yeah.
Now, the lack of humanity means Ukraine and Russia happens.
Yes.
The lack of humanity means oppression, which is there in very many countries. The problem is, in some countries it's unknown because it's not meant to be spoken or the media has suppressed it. So this is all, to me, it's attributed to lack of humanity.
Lack of humanity.
Not understanding that another person is just as human as you. If people understood that, what would happen? There'd be love,
Yeah.
right? And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
There'd be choices to the contrary.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if there is love,
Yeah.
right? Love for everything. I love this table, I love this table. I would not chip it. Why would I chip a table that I love? Why would I bang a car that I love? Why would I hit somebody who I love? Why would I,
Okay.
At the end of the day, lack of humanity, lack of love.
Yes.
Humanity, you love everything. That's why, even songs, a lot of these guys, they sing and they say love is the answer.
Love is the
Because it's actually true.
Yeah.
That you have to have compassion,
Yeah.
humanity, for you to appreciate whatever you've been given.
Yeah.
There's nothing else.
There is nothing else.
There's nothing else.
Love is the answer. I really
Yeah.
love that, especially because then it makes it easier to see how to translate lessons from a Sikh way of life into daily practice. Yeah. Now I'm even more excited about how you intentionally do this in your career path as an architect. Is there a space where the two merge, where you feel your philosophy on life as a Sikh and your pathway as an architect sort of merge?
So, Kikondu, I mentioned earlier that Sikhism is not a religion
It is
per
not
se,
a religion, yeah.
but it's hard to explain it. So it's put under a banner of religion because that's the easiest way to explain to someone. But Sikhism is a way of life. So we don't go Sunday, we pray and we say, now I've ticked the box and we move on. Paka next
Sunday.
Next Sunday,
Yeah.
kwa heri sana, Kinimacho and all those guys used to do these things.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one is not like that.
This
one
is daily practice.
Daily. Forget daily. You're meant to every instant. In fact, the scriptures say with every breath that you take, you are meant to meditate. Every breath. And the people who are spiritually enlightened, they actually do it. There are people who are spiritually enlightened. If you went and listened into their ear, you will hear the chanting of God's name in their ear. How do you explain that? And the person is doing what he's doing. If he is working, he's working. Because we are told we must earn an honest living.
Yeah.
We must earn by your sweat. So I cannot be chilling at home. I'm meditating and I'm saying, hey, I was told to meditate. That's all I'm going to do and things will be fine. No. We are told there's nothing like that. You have to work. You have to earn your living honestly.
Yeah.
And then share with those who are in need. Share with others.
Yeah.
Share with those who are in need. Share with those who have. Share. Because ultimately we are one.
We are one.
Right? So coming back to where this question has stemmed off from.
Yeah, career path.
Yeah, you find my responsibility as an architect is to give service to humanity. I design spaces for people to make them feel like people. That is my first and foremost responsibility. If I cannot design for a human being to feel human, then I've failed. As an architect, I've failed. Right? So whenever we are asked to design, whether it's a DSQ, whether it's a guardhouse, whatever it may be, if I design any of my projects, I design a DSQ, I always tell my client, I must be able to live in it. If I can't live in it, I'm not designing it. Simple.
Yeah.
Because for me, a guy who lives in staff quarters is just as important as the person living in the main house. The only difference will be the room might be smaller. That's it. He might not have a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Okay? But should he get hot water? Yes. And it's very simple. And I tell my clients, you don't give the guy hot water, you give him cold water. When you're at work, in your cozy office, the guy is showering in your shower, in your jacuzzi, using your towel and whatever, because he also wants to know what it feels like, because he's human.
Yes.
So give him. What will a towel cost you? What will hot water cost you?
Yeah.
In the big picture, in the scale of things, it's nothing.
Yeah.
What will that humanity cost you? I will treat you badly, but I expect you to make my food. I expect you to give my kids a bath. I expect you to feed my kids. I mean, how?
Yeah.
How is that possible? You know, and then you complain, oh, you know, my guy does this, does that. Let me tell you, it's very simple. You just have to be human with everybody. Your guard is a human being. I will not give him a door. When it's cold, I want him not to sleep because it is so cold. My friend, the guy will go and sleep under your car. If it's raining, he's not an idiot.
Yeah.
He'll say, Sawa, I'm not being given a space. It's fine. I will leave the guardhouse. I will go look for a space, whether it's in your pickup at the back, under some nook corner where there's no rain, and he'll sleep. Because he's not being treated humanly.
Like a human. I love that. I love that.
So you must integrate humanity in everything you do
Good.
at any given time. And that is a very important philosophy of my design work and what my firm stands for. We must understand we are dealing with human beings. Regardless, I might give the person in the main house a bigger kitchen, etc. It doesn't mean the DSQ should not have a kitchen. And it happens, these conversations come up. It is my moral obligation and professional duty to ask the client, okay, fine. Some of them will say, no, the guy will just eat in the main house. Okay, what if he's sick? It's 1 a.m. Are you going to allow him or her to come into your house, make a cup of tea and have it? Then the conversation starts to loosen up. No, I think we can give him something. Say, yeah, because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. This guy has a life. This guy has a life on a public holiday. He falls ill. He wants to just have his space. Let him have it.
Yeah.
There is nothing.
They're human.
They are human.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very big component of what we do.
I like that.
We design for human experiences. And for you to give a human experience, you must be human about it.
Good. 2 final questions. One, a little on the lighter notes. It could go deeper, no problem. And the second one is sort of to tie to how we began this whole conversation. And the first one is around, I don't know what you feel about the Nairobi cityscape, you know? The cityscape, picture-wise, it's a lot of boxes. I mean, I don't know, is there hope for us in terms of more fascinating design going forward? Is there room for that? The structures are already set and we'll be looking like this for the next 50 years?
Okay, I would have used that term, but I won't use it because we are on media. I don't know who's watching. And I don't want to sound offbeat.
Yeah.
But I think we are pretty much in a mess. What does it boil down to? I think the biggest culprit here is corruption. Corruption has really contributed to a lot of what we see. Cityscapes need to be planned. We have a culture where it's apparent that people are able to buy whatever they want. That's why we are in this mess. It's not unusual to have commercial spaces within residential areas, but they must be planned correctly. They must have the human scale, right? What is happening today is that, you just, if I can pay, I can go high, which is not, the human scale gets lost. Again, it all comes back to the concept of humanity.
Yes.
I take 200 people, 200 apartments, put them in a block, give you 250 or 300 car parks, and I think it's fine. It's not fine. It's not fine because the bylaws, unfortunately, are also archaic. You might follow them, but they are not practical. It has to be realistic. Everything in life has to be realistic. We have to be real. But unfortunately, greed comes in. With greed, ego.
Yeah.
I want to have the highest building. With that comes erosion of humanity.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the guys up there, they might be able to exchange salt. Guy is cooking, he says, I have no salt. He says, hey, chief, just give me salt from your apartment.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened to space? What happened to people living their own lives? The compromise is huge. Unfortunately, we are also our own enemies. Why? Because we fuel this fire. We go and buy into these developments where we know you go and you can see this guy he'll be tasting your salad from his window. He has long chopsticks and a beba and a cooler. Hey, yours looks better than mine. But we allow it. We've embraced the culture of corruption. We've embraced it. It's part and parcel of life. We seem to be fine with it. So the whole thing is just degrading as we are watching. I'm not even worried about myself. I'm worried about the generations that are coming after us. I don't know what they'll do.
Yeah.
I don't know what they'll do. Sewer lines will not be able to sustain. Water will be a problem. Energy, I don't know how many of you, I don't know who doesn't have candles at home.
Yeah.
Why should you be living like that? Right?
Yeah.
In terms of cityscape, it's very important to maintain a human scale. To buildings, so that when you walk in the city center, you feel embraced, you feel safe. These towers can be quite intimidating.
They can. It's a concrete jungle.
Concrete jungles.
Thank
There are ways to deal with it.
Yeah.
They can bring in a lot of nature. Nature does not have to be just trees on the ground. You can do vertical gardens. You can give, if you want to allow high-rise buildings, let the setbacks be more. Let there be green areas where kids can play, where people can sit. Let there be spaces where people can socialize. If you go to General Masenge, you will not be able to walk from one end to the other without walking on the road. What are we talking about? Manhole covers are stolen or not there. Where are people meant to be?
Yeah.
What is the city designed for? What are neighborhoods designed for if the human being is not a factor?
Yeah.
These places are not meant to be designed for people with cars. Meant to be designed for the human first.
Exactly.
Human first, everything else comes second.
I love that. And in your answer, I'm mostly afraid, but there's also hope in there. There's also hope in there, because hope in this case will be attached to the choices that we make going forward, hopefully in policy and otherwise.
Yes. So we've had groups that have come together, Northern Bloc, Westlands Association, who are trying to push. So if you read the media of late, people are being taken to court. Some projects that had been approved are being stopped. Court orders are being, sent out. How long that will happen, we don't know. But at least some people have woken up.
Yes.
To set the record straight, there are people who are looking at it, they are passionate about it, and really, it's not for us. People forget, it's not for us. You can make as much money as you want in this life. What people forget, all that money, you leave it here. That's what most people forget. There is no contentment. They just want to milk and milk and milk. Then what? Then what? Coffin, you can just
Leave
have
it
a
here.
coffin that's a bit more expensive than the other. But guess what? You will not even go with that coffin. You're put in it and that's it. That's the furthest you'll go. But people forget that. So you can take the money, you can do whatever you want, but there is an end to that journey. And everything gets left here.
We can definitely make better choices with this in mind. This brings me to my final question, right where we began. We began with a young man in my story who wanted to be an architect, then made the choice of jumping ship, not judging it at all, just giving it as a story. Is there, with no idea what he went through, we've sort of seen where the mind space is at in architectural school, second year, third year, the pressure and all that. Now relating it with living as a human being, pressure, pain, is there a sick solution to this? Or is it part of the journey? Pain and pressure.
Okay, I'll pack your question. As I touch on something that I think is important to discuss at this point.
Sure.
So when a lot of people talk about careers, people talk about passion. You know? Was it the lady before me, Joyce? She talked about, there was a discussion about her sister or someone doing something and then has stopped doing it. That's what passion does. Passion fades away. So when you're passionate, so many people will tell you, follow your passion, do what you're passionate about, make it into a career. You need to hold on.
Passion fades.
Passion fades. You are passionate about something, then you discover it's fading. It fades away. What you have to do is take that passion and convert it to talent. Talent is observable and testable. You can test somebody's talent, you can observe someone's talent. You cannot test someone's passion. You cannot observe someone's passion. You think you can, but you actually, that thing is not possible. With talent, you are seeing the results.
And by talent, you mean skill?
Skill, ability. You know, I can have the ability to make something. So I'm taking that talent into a physical aspect, which I can look at, I can observe it, and then I can monetize it. Right? Passion is difficult. I can be passionate about making this fruit tree. I'm so passionate about it, but I cannot make it. And then whenever you come to me, no, I'm passionate about it. I stayed the whole night awake figuring out how this thing is made. But that's all it is. It's passion. I'll stay awake, so what? But if you convert it to talent, and if you put more effort into talent, you're able to make it sustainable.
Yeah.
Because now it's a talent. A painter who's talented, a sportsman who's talented, not a sportsman who's passionate about running. You get that passionate sportsman, after some time he'll say, I may passion in
I'm done.
That's from running, I'll be walking.
Yeah. But
Because there's no passion.
talent is scalable.
Talent is scalable. You're able to observe and test it and say, now I'm pushing my talent. to this level. And then, of course, if you monetize it, you have a winning formula.
Yeah.
Coming back to
Pain.
your pain,
Yes.
pressure, the
And is there a Sikhi solution, AMA
Yes.
perspective on this?
so Sikhs. Okay, I don't know how many of you know this, but a Sikh is a saint soldier. That's what a Sikh represents. So
What
if
do
you
you
see Sikhs, sometimes people just fear us by the way we look, okay? But it's because of what created us. We are created to be spiritual, and we are created to be soldiers. We are meant to be defenders of, I wouldn't say the weak, but to be defenders. Somebody does something to you, I don't think it is fair, I come out and I speak. And I tell them, my friend, you're not doing the right thing to this person. It's from that scale to the scale of mass oppression. When there's mass oppression, I don't know how many of you know, we have organizations. There's an organization called Khalsa Aid. Wherever there is a problem, whether it is floods, whether it is war, those guys pick up their things from wherever they are and they go, they set up shop and they feed and they house and they make the people try to get back to where they were. Selfless. They don't ask them for the money, nothing. It's all voluntarily done, and people volunteer into the organization to make them stand up for these people. So that's what our purpose is.
The saint soldier.
Relating it back to Kenya, for example, you find people, we've had people like Makan Singh. He could have just chilled, gone to his father's printing press, relaxed, done printing and said, you know what, I don't give a damn.
I guess most of us know Malkiat Singh from the books.
No,
Yeah?
not Malkiat Singh, Makan Singh.
Makat Singh. Okay, this is a
Makan
different
Singh
story.
was one of the first labor unionists in this country.
Okay.
One of the longest imprisoned political prisoners.
Oh, I did not know this.
A Sikh.
Yeah.
Going to stand for people, for the labor. In fact, he was at the forefront of the labor movement in this country. Standing for people you don't even know. You are not born with them. And you stand up for them, for their rights, to fight for them. How many people would do that? You get? So that's what we are about.
Yeah, the defender as well.
Yeah. So you'll find, a lot of us are involved in very physical, I don't want to use the word difficult,
Okay.
but let's call it menial work.
Okay.
Running workshops, fixing cars, farming, building, things that you have to do with your hands.
Yeah.
And, sweat is involved and all that stuff. Because that's historically how we have been from the ancestry. That's how it's been. We've been very, we are not the best traders.
Yeah.
But you want to fix something,
Crafts people.
we'll fix it. You have a puncture, you see a Kalasinga passing, you stop him, he's likely to help you. You come out, fix your car and help you to move on.
Okay.
You have a puncture, he'll change your wheel and you go.
So is this to say pressure and pain are part of the journey?
So pressure and pain are two components, I don't know about the pain, but pressure, that create granite. Diamond is created under intense pressure.
Yeah.
That's what makes diamonds. Diamond is carbon at the end of the day, right? Under immense pressure, that's what forms a diamond. That's what forms granite. That's what forms all these hard materials. So pressure is part and parcel of one's life. There'll always be pressure, hardships, whatever, in some form or another. I think the only difference is the magnitude. The only thing that changes is the magnitude. Otherwise, challenges, issues, I mean, the king and queen who are here, you think they have no pressure?
Of course they do.
Those who are visiting us. If you go to JW Marriott, I don't know, it's tonight or tomorrow, look at the amount of security. Those guys looking around and, they have their own pressures to deal with.
Yeah.
So everyone has pressure, everyone has problems, everyone has issues, everyone has challenges. The only thing that differs is the scale, the magnitude, and the resilience of the person. So people always think their problem is the biggest and their issues are the worst and whatever. No, everyone has them. Even me and you, we have
We do.
our own.
Yeah.
It's how we deal with them. How do we embrace? For us, we are taught very simply. Everything you go through is God's will. And you must embrace God's will. So when hardships come, you embrace them. Then you deal with it, you accept. It doesn't mean you go and sleep. Because remember, you must earn by your sweat. Sure.
Yeah.
So you have to do something about it. You can't say it's God's will. God has willed that I should go and sleep. No. You must tackle it. You must deal with it. You must try to solve it. That's the sweat. That's the earning by your sweat. That's the honest living we are talking about. That then pulls you through. And I think to summarize this whole thing, it's very, very important that people understand that you must be grateful for what you have.
Thank you.
Because there'll always be somebody with lesser than you and more than you. To me, one of the biggest quests of life is to have contentment.
To have content.
Contentment.
I love that.
You are content. You have to believe there are people who will have more than you. You will have people who have less than you. Their journeys are very different. All your journeys are different. And you must learn to embrace that and say, this is how it is. I am not competing with you. The only person you can ever compete with is yourself. Yesterday I was like this. Today I want to be a better person than yesterday. What did I do for someone? So for me, my career is very fulfilling because at the end of the day, I create what is consumed by other people. I consume it in the background because I did it and I know, but the satisfaction is seeing the other person whom I created for enjoying what I put together for him or for her. That experience. They walk in and they love it because I took their dream and made it a reality for their consumption, not my consumption, theirs. Right? And that for me ties up with the whole concept of humanity and doing things for others, sharing with them the experience, because end of the day, life is a journey. We start somewhere, we will end somewhere.
I love that.
That's it.
I love it. I totally love it. It's been quite a conversation, and I love the different pockets we've dipped into, from career to philosophy on life, to the cityscape that we sort of have to hopefully live with for a while, but hopefully do better. Sindio, ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for our guest today? Thank you. Oh, I love that it keeps going and going. Asante. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Please.
Thank you.
Please, if you enjoy the conversation, even online, kindly tag us, kindly comment, kindly share, because all we are here to do as this podcast is connect as human beings casually. So thank you for your time. Asanteni sana. Hope to see you next time, and keep bringing more friends. Last time we were 3, 4, 5 of us. I love that we are fuller. Next time, unajua tunaingia stadium. Well, thank you. Have a good afternoon. Asanteni sana.
On your next visit to Sugar Bowl, treat yourself to the soothing embrace of sage green tea, where earthy undertones meet a refreshing herbal zest. Hints of nuttiness and citrus unfold with each sip, awakening your senses and leaving a lingering complexity that invites you to pause and savor the moment. Pineapple and herb tea is best enjoyed hot for a truly comforting experience. So go get it, courtesy of Sugar Bowl. And that's it for this episode of Casually Human Podcast with Kigondu. Until next time, stay dope out there, Maze. You can check us out and recommend to your friends on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and definitely on the YouTube. As for me, I'm at Kigondu on all different social media platforms, at KIGONDUW. And as a podcast, we are at casually_humanpod_ on IG. And you can check us out on Twitter, you can check us out on TikTok and every other platform that we exist on. Usijali, I'll go articulating where we are, then you can share. Till next time, peace.